Hello, and welcome to the Connect podcast, a podcast by the Holdrege Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back to the Connect podcast. Today I'm joined with Dr. Brandon Beebout here at Beebout. It's Beebout Veterinary Medical Center, is that right?
Correct.
BVMC. And so currently we're in Holdrege. We're at the North Park. But you guys have plans, is that right, to maybe change that name here in the coming months?
Yeah, so obviously we have the Kearney location, and so we just thought we want to make it kind of synced where we just have a Kearney location and a Holdrege location. Beebout last name, while common in my stomping grounds, Ainsworth Valentine, is not a common last name, and so we decided to use our last name on it, and so we're going to move it over here, and there's some signage signed on the dotted line, and it's coming whenever they get it made.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. Well, before we get too deep in the weeds, tell me a little bit about you and how your journey to being a vet kind of came to be.
Okay. How much time you have?
Yeah, all the time in the world.
So honestly, grew up Ainsworth, Nebraska. We had a cabin south of Ainsworth. It's more of a homestead, not like log cabin, just a nice, humble little abode. And there was lizards and snakes, and I was just always kind of infatuated with that. We fished a lot, and asked my mom, Brandon, what's crawling around on the floor in here that escaped from your little terrarium? And so that was me as a kid. Grew up with toy poodles, and I just kind of always had a knack for not just pets, but biology, life, and just enamored with it, and obviously the further we got into it, as I got into college and whatnot, just anatomy, physiology, the way the body works, you cannot replace that knowledge. If I never worked a day in veterinary medicine, I have the knowledge of how the body works, and it's truly amazing, the creation that God did for us, and how it works is just, we still don't know, we know 1% of what the brain does, and we know so much, it seems like. And so that really kind of got me started. And then, really the moment where I knew I wanted to advocate for the voiceless, if you will, we were in Hershey, Nebraska. My aunt is who we got our poodles from. So we've had Cocoa Mocha Latte Java.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so mom and dad just got a cappuccino. They still need to get espresso, but we'll wait on that. And so the mom and dad was Andy and Bridget, and Andy was old, but he wasn't he's 12 or 13 maybe, and I just happened to be in town visiting, and he was going to the vet, and totally expected him to come home. He didn't, and so they lost Andy that day. And Bridget, the mom, she comes out to eat the next day, and they ate the Beneful with the different shapes, the squares and the triangles and the bones and the circles, and Andy loved the bones. She picks the bones out, ate the rest the next morning. And this is 94, I'm 7.
Sure.
But still, that stays with you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's what I want to do. The perception changes as you get older of exactly what veterinary medicine is, but that was really the thing that stuck with me. And then another time where our Coco went in for kind of emergency surgery, and this veterinarian, just cool, calm, collective. I was with Dad, and Dad was worried. Dad's superhero, had a great dad. And so, to see him so worried and helpless, and this veterinarian comes in and saves the day, really. And so those two experiences really said, I love this, and it just kind of continued to embolden as I grew up and then got into college. Loved biology, again, was a biology major at UNK. That was kind of the most annoying part of getting to veterinary was, you got to do all the biology, so, bioethics and evolution and genetics, things that you maybe don't use. And they're like, do I really have to do this? Why can't I do animal medicine? It's coming, get into vet school first, And so that's kind of what got me started. And a little story like that of losing a pet really got that spark lit.
Yeah. So did you start by starting your own practice, or did you work at other practices first?
So after vet school, I actually did an internship. Went out to San Diego, California, and it's a match program. So you list 10, and then they list you, and then you match.
Sure.
And I was not planning on San Diego. Typically, you have to go in person and visit the place, and I'm a poor college kid, and I was in Baton Rouge at the time in my clinical year at LSU, and I did a phone interview, and I'm really where I had ranked everything. I was like, I'm going to Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm going to Oklahoma State. And then I open up on Match, and I'm at Pet Emergency Specialty Center in La Mesa, California. Wow. I was like, never been to California. So we move out there, my wife and I, and she goes into general practice, and I do an internship. And that was grueling. But I knew I needed the internship because my dream was to become a practice owner, specifically in Kearney, where I had worked in college, and knew that Dr. Neal, who was our predecessor, was up there in age. You know, he was in his mid-70s at the time. And so I was like, internship gives you 5 years of experience in a year. And it's not for the faint of heart. And I thought I was, and it humbles you.
Yeah.
And but it was great. And so because you come out there smelling like a rose on the other side. So that's really was the first practice, still under some tutelage, but you can refine your skills. You learn so much. I came out of there, okay, I'm ready to go. We actually moved to Denver for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I did private practice for 11 months in corporate, actually. And that's when I said, okay, I really need to be a practice owner. And then I kind of did relief veterinary medicine for a year. So I bounced around between, and they had such a need for veterinary medicine. And so, I was getting calls every single day that they needed somebody, and which I like to make your own schedule, but that wasn't the life for me. For me to walk into a place and be like, I'll see you in 3 weeks. I like to develop rapport with people. Part of the reason we're here.
Yeah.
And so got the call on a Saturday, Brandon, it's time to come home. And that was music to my ears, because that's what I've been waiting on. And I was like, babe, our dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
Dr. Neal, when do you need me? He said, can you be here Monday?
Oh, jeez.
And so I packed my bags. I did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Kearney, Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Denver for 6 weeks, which was, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I was like, I'll pay my dues, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And so then September of 17, we fully moved to Kearney. Worked for 3 years in general practice with my wife. And then we bought the practice in September 2020 during COVID.
Wow.
And then kind of the rest is history.
Yeah. Aside from the obvious, from a vet's perspective, how was that starting a practice right in the midst really of COVID?
What was interesting about this industry, the veterinary industry during COVID, is it grew. Typical vet practices grow 6 to 10% a year. We grew 23% that year.
Wow.
The reason being, there's a few reasons, is people were at home.
Yeah.
So one, they needed a buddy. So a lot of people adopted. I think there's 115 dogs in the U.S. and over 10% was an increase. And and so, the shelter's emptied, which is great.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. So somebody needed a companion while they're at home.
Yeah.
And then secondly, I'm at home, and I used to not see my dog from 8 to 5. And now I'm seeing him do some of these behaviors that I'm not used to seeing. And so we actually grew, and we had just, again, getting your feet wet. It takes 3 to 5 years for you to build the clientele. Dr. Neal added 2 veterinarians, my wife and I.
Oh, yeah.
And so we knew we were kind of hitting our stride. A lot of veterinary practices, especially in the cities, my vet school roommate's a Brooklyn kid. They didn't have anybody come in their doors for years.
Yeah.
We never shut down. We wore masks for 16 months, but we didn't do curbside or whatever. Sure. We were careful. Again, Dr. Neal was 80 years old at the time and did well. And so that, I think, helped us, and so we grew. And so honestly, it was kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
We also were poor, brand new veterinarians.
Sure.
And so we actually, from when COVID started, my wife and I did DoorDash for 6 months to kind of save the capital to open the practice and make sure we made payroll in 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
Once we opened. And so September 1st of 2020 was when we hit the ground running. And again, we had a solid foundation. It's not like we were a new build, opening a brand new practice. We took over a practice that had been here since May of 77.
Wow.
And super established practice and again, been here for 3 years rather than just coming in day one and buying it. So they knew us, got to know us. And so, again, everything kind of molded together perfectly for us.
Yeah. When I was visiting you guys in Kearney, you have Dr. Neal, his scrubs, or what you would call them, up almost like a jersey hanging up, which I thought was so respectful. I think that's so cool.
Well, we know that we would never be where we are, ability to move locations in Kearney, to go into a second practice, and really accomplish a lot of the things that I set out to accomplish, really even in undergrad. And I have a scholarship application and the essay that I wrote.
Yeah.
And all these dreams are coming true, not because, I was intentional about things.
Sure.
You got to get a little luck. You got to have an equation, and luck's in there. Again, God's been very good to us, and we've been very blessed. A lot of things have, and Dr. Neal was one of those things. And, again, the bank gave him 6 months and said, you'll be out on the street in 77. Like, nobody does small animal medicine. Okay. First small animal practice outside of Lincoln and Omaha.
Wow.
And for him to take that on, and he just said, no, I'm going to do it. And if you knew Dr. Neal, that guy was absolutely amazing. Yeah. And so we knew that the least we could do is hang his white coat in remembrance of him. We lost him a couple of years ago, this April, actually. Oh. And he's just this invincible guy. And I remember the first time I met him, he was 70, I was 20. And he interviewed me one-on-one, and I was like, I'm just this 20-year-old kid that's going to work kennels for you. Yeah. Why are you taking the time? Why don't you have a manager, interview me? And then, and then he really took me under his wing. I hung on his every word, and I learned so much from him when I got to vet school. It took a while to learn something, as far as clinically speaking. Yeah. He was not only brilliant, he was a great businessman. He also asked anybody from Kearney that had him for years, his compassion and his client communication. Nobody maybe even knows what kind of practice of medicine that he did, which was great medicine. Yeah. He always kept up. It's not like some old guy that got behind in the times. He was always at conferences. Wow. But everybody knew his bedside manner. And that is, honestly, yes, we want to practice great medicine, sure, but people want to know that you care for their pet. And he knew that, and so we shared that philosophy, and even the humor as well. If you knew his humor, and even at his end-of-life ceremony, his buddies from high school were telling stories, and I was like, no wonder we got along so well. Yeah. A lot of these ornery stories about him, I was like, oh my gosh, he was me as a teenager, and so we just clicked well, and very blessed to be able to work alongside him for as long as we had him.
That's amazing. Yeah, I saw that when I was visiting, and I thought that's it's a nice touch for anyone who has a succession or has they move on and sell the practice. It's just really cool to see that. You don't see that every day.
Can't forget where we started.
Yeah, absolutely. Us. Yeah. So well, that kind of leads into the transition here. What was it like to start in Holdrege? Why Holdrege, I guess, first?
So honestly, Holdrege was not on the radar initially. I told my wife, this is funny. So she had her 15-year college reunion, sure, and she's a Cornell kid, so she's an Ivy Leaguer. I'm a UK guy. Yeah. And I said, babe, you're gonna go back, and they're gonna be like, what are you doing, pal? And she's gonna be like, I own a practice, and that's amazing, and we've done very well, and we've again been very blessed. And I was like, don't you think that they're gonna be like, why aren't you owning 6 practices? You're a Cornell kid, and because she has, she's amazing. She obviously, the better half is cliche, but it's true. Sure. And I said, my dream eventually is not against corporate, but we can make our own corporate because of the way we do things. And in Nebraska, in the small town vibe, maybe corporate veterinary medicine isn't the way where you're 15894 client. Yeah. It's like, no, you're Tony Huss. You have these pets, and these are your kids, and this is what they do. Yeah. And this is what they like to do. And so we thought, well, I'm from Ainsworth. Maybe there's some opportunity there. They do a lot of mixed animal. That's not really my thing. I don't know anything about cows and horses. Sure. Ainsworth and Valentine, that area. So we thought, maybe there will be an opportunity sometime to put our footprint elsewhere. Yeah. And then we worked with North Park some for referrals and things like that. I did not know Dr. Marshall, and then I got an email from him. I was putting at Meadowlark practicing, and I got an email, and he said, I've been trying to sell a couple years, and just thought that this would be a nice sister clinic for you. And I was like, he's absolutely right. This would be why didn't I think of this before? And of course, didn't know that had no idea that he was, maybe going to get out of this and focus on Bertrand. And we met here on a Sunday, I believe, and walked through. And it is so similar, nostalgic wise of Hilltop Pet Clinic, our first location. The size, and he's like, yeah, it's not like what you have. We were so blessed with our new location, but this is my vibe, man.
Sure.
This is a great little location, built in, I think, around 2000, 2001, I want to say, maybe 98. Wow. Not even exactly sure. And so it just brought me back to like, whoa, I could, like, if I didn't have my wife as a veterinarian and I was going to go be a single doctor practice, like, this is where I would be.
Sure.
And it's 25 miles from Kearney, where Ainsworth's 3 hours from Norfolk, from Kearney, from Grand Island. And I was like, we live in Odessa. Like, this is a perfect little jaunt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy's looking out for us, presenting these opportunities for us. And I told Pal, I said, this email didn't get sent at random. Yeah. There is a reason. There's some divine intervention in this. And we really need to pray on it, and we need to think about it. I wish it was 2 years later. Sure. We just got this new location. And so we did. We prayed on it, and I said, we need a couple things. We need a veterinarian. And because we already need a veterinarian at our other location, to help Dr. Drain, who's been here. We need her to stay. Yeah. And want to do this, and she did, and she's great, and she's continuity. And there was a lot of locums, relief veterinarians coming in, which is fine, but we like that continuity. We want you to come in and be able to see the doctor that you want to see. Yeah. And so I was like, we need a veterinarian, and because I can't be down here all the time, we need a site manager. Mm-hmm. And as God always provides, I get a text from Tony Huss, who hired me at a clinic when I was 19. Oh, that's and amazing. Our personalities mesh so well. She's got great humor. She's one of my favorite people. And I hadn't really talked to her since I've been back. Yeah. She was working at a competitor or whatever, and she texted me. She's like, a couple years ago, I approached Dr. Marshall and said, I really want to manage that North Park location. And she's like, and just unprovoked text. And I'm like, first off, how did you hear about this? I was just sneaking through the grapevine. And and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. Well, then we snagged Dr. Warning. And I'm like, well, Pal, this is it. We're going to have to do this now, because now we got the pieces in place. Yeah. And so again, very, very blessed. Got these people to come together. It took some time. We were kind of thinking August and September, and finally got the deal done in middle of December there. So day after my birthday. Oh, that's amazing. So it was a great birthday present. Again, a lot of responsibility and whatnot, but this is about 10% the size of our current, and so it's just something that we can put in a labor of love and really provide for this community, and do some things that are the same, and then put in that little Beebout effort and do some things that we know are going to work.
Well, and one thing I don't think people think about a lot that I tend to think about quite a bit is when you have an infrastructure that's already working, it's not as hard as starting new when you can just bring something else into that infrastructure. What goes through your mind with something like that? I mean, that's a big move, right?
It is, and again, like I said, if it was 2 years down the road, maybe that would have been better for us. But now we're here, and again, it's not up to us to decide when those moments happen. And so we took that chance, we took that opportunity. It's gone very, very well. And yes, it's not like, hey, we just slap our name on it, and now it's Beebout Veterinary Medical Center. What's nice is, again, with Dr. Drain been here for as long as she has, there is that continuity. Dr. Marshall ran a great practice. He had another practice to take care of. Yeah. And so we, in a different world, he loves large animal practice. I don't want anything to do with it. Sure. And so this is my labor of love. And he, I'm so grateful to him for him to say, this guy can really provide this for the community. Yeah. This place closes. We got 5,500 people here. Those clients, go to a different clinic in town. They disperse amongst Kearney or other places. We need that local vet care here. Yeah. And again, I grew up in Ainsworth, a town a third of the size of this. So this is, that nice middle ground between this big little town of Kearney or little big town of Kearney, and the sense of community that I've, 3 months in. It's like, this is the bee's knees. This is great. And so we're slowly but surely implementing those policies and the way that we do things, because again, a lot of these guys haven't worked for us. Yeah. Again, we share a lot of the same philosophy, and maybe they've been not handcuffed, but not given like, hey, we're going to do this for you. We're going to invest in you. We're going to get some not new toys, but things that can allow you to practice the quality medicine that folks expect, especially even in Holdrege. Of course they should. And we had 186. I think we did a report of Holdrege clients at the Kearney location.
Wow.
And the more the word gets out, I think, hey, we come to Beebout in Kearney, now I can come to Beebout and Holdrege, and I can keep it local. And there's some overlap, there's some things that we can't do here that, hey, maybe you need to go to Kearney for this, great. Instead of going to Omaha, Kansas, Iowa, whatever.
Yes.
And because we do a ton of stuff there, but also, just the other day, diagnosed a dog with inflammatory bowel disease. They've been coming to Kearney forever. They live here.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need weekly B12 injections.
Yeah.
You need to just come to here to do that. They just had a brand new baby. Like, they don't need to be driving 50 minutes back and forth when we can do that here. In May, we're actually going to change our software where everything is together. So it's a little complicated right now.
Yeah.
But that will all be so fluid for everything. And so we're excited about that too.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was going to ask too, the first 3 months, right? How have they been? What are some things you've maybe learned?
Yeah, so it's gone very, very well. And, we added, Kendra, who is our groomer, a new groomer that we hired December 1st. We got this December 11th at our Hilltop location. So our second groomer, she comes down on Wednesdays. And so that's great. And, she's incredible. Like, every call, they're like, we want to talk about the groomer. It's like, oh, what happened? They're like, she's so amazing. And that's obviously great to hear. And she's also that person that is advocating for that patient's health too. Mm-hmm. It's not just a groom. Just like somebody comes in for a vaccine, it's not just a vaccine. The owner, I'm here for a vaccine. We're the professionals, and oh man, that lump on that hip is something that I think I'm worried about. I want to talk to you about that. And so it's not only good for business, it's best for that pet. And build it, they will come. You just practice quality medicine, you should be fine.
Yep.
And so again, having Tony here, a licensed veterinary technician, also a managerial position. Yeah. And so the growth that we're seeing already is mostly from just, again, being able to have that continuity of the same veterinarians coming in and developing rapport with those clients and offering the highest quality medicine. And that's the standard that Beebout sets. Is that's what we have to offer, no less, and justify every single thing that you can do, because that's the easy part. I want this kid to live as long as possible. Guess what? That client does too. And so that's our promise to them. And we get flack for this. We've gotten flack for this, for being not only confident but competitive in that. And but I'm the most competitive person I know. You should see the game of spoons at Christmas time. There's broken chairs and tables because we're competitive people. But as we talked about golf, we take our hat off and we shake at the end of the day. But we're competitive for our clients because. And again, this Sherlock Holmes of what's going on with this pet, I'm competitive to the end goal of finding that answer and getting this pet happy and healthy, and to be able to provide it to this community without saying, I don't know, let's send you to Kansas because they're going to know. And it's like, we can figure this out. And again, keeping somebody here instead of traveling 4.5, 5 hours. They're so grateful for that. Gas money, hotel stay, veterinary teaching hospital fees. And so we're just excited to be able to keep a lot more of that in-house.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and I think people will appreciate and notice too your passion and how much you care. It's competitive, but it's competitive because you want to be the one that solves it, right?
Exactly.
I think that's great. Yeah.
So, yes, you get it.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. What do you think the people who have maybe come to North Park for many years, maybe decades, what do you think they should know as they walk through the doors?
So there's going to be some different faces, but there's also going to be that foundation of Dr. Drain. There's even questions like, where did Dr. Drain go? Where did she go? She's here. There's really my wife, Dr. Powell, myself, Dr. Warning, and Dr. Drain. I'm here, 3-ish days a month. I'd like to be here more. And maybe that will happen as we continue to grow at Kearney and add more veterinarians. But Dr. Drain is here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, wow. And so Wednesday's her day off. So Dr. Warning's here most of those days. Right now we are open 8 to noon on Saturday here, and so that's a little bit different because we don't have a doctor here. But we are open from 8 to 6 on Saturday in Kearney, and so that is the one thing where, yes, if you need to be seen on a Saturday from Holdrege, we are 25 minutes away,
Sure.
but we can see you all day. And Dr.
Yeah.
Drain will work once a month or so up at the Kearney location. And typically she'll work that Friday too there. And so my wife or myself will be here on that Friday. And so, and you may have a specific doctor that you like. I mean, you should. We like that. And it may not be me. It may be Dr. Drain, Dr. Warning, Dr. Powell, and that's great. And so you should schedule them on those days. And we typically use our Facebook page to say, hey, you know, Dr. Beebout's going to be here March 11th, March 17th, March 27th, type of thing. And so if you want to get in those days, because I've got some really good friends in Alma, and they come up to Kearney and they're like, well, cut my drive in half. Let me know when you're in Holdrege, especially for the simpler things that don't require some of the expertise that we necessarily have in Kearney.
Sure.
So there's some similarities. There's going to be some differences, but we think that those differences are going to again continue to grow to where our expectations and our standards are set. And so I think there'll be good changes for everyone.
What are the general services that you offer? You mentioned you're probably not the one to come to with your cattle, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So companion pets. We do, we'll see the occasional guinea. I mean, I've seen guinea pigs, bearded dragons. I mean, we've done some pet docs on NTV on some of the cool cases that we've seen in exotics. We're not like super well versed. I mean, maybe more well versed than others.
Sure.
But there are, if we really need something with an exotic, I think Lincoln, might be the closest place for it, but we do dabble in them. Birds is not really our thing. I'll be honest. So those pocket pets, again, we've done surgery on guinea pigs, on hamsters, on things like that. And so, but dogs and cats specifically, and then of course your wellness. So your annual exams, your vaccinations, your deworming, your heartworm test, super important, especially down here, Republican Valley, as we continue to get further south. Heartworm disease is common, and it's more and more common every year. Your flea and tick, definitely in Nebraska. Ticks are March to July. Fleas can be year round. We see it every single year. And so some of those fundamental foundational things. And then even before we got here, yes, internal medicine, surgery, dentals, mass removals, spays, neuters, of course, all those things. And then again, with internal medicine, I mean, we have in-house laboratory. We do a lot of send-downs to reference laboratories. All these veterinarians are capable of working up a complicated case. And real quick example, 11-month-old Bernese Mountain Dog. He's been limping really since they got him. And Bernese Mountain Dogs have elbow dysplasia. And I was like, this is an elbow dysplasia kid. He needs a CT. So we take x-rays of the shoulder and the elbow and everything. And I was like, something in the chest. An 11-month-old. Like, that's kind of weird. Goes and gets a CT done. There's lymph nodes in the chest that are big that we happen to catch on this chest x-ray. And I can't speak for other veterinarians, but it'd be really easy to say, you got to go somewhere to a university hospital. And I say, unfortunately, this is fungal or cancer. Let's send out the test. Guess what? It came back histoplasmosis, which is Ohio and Pennsylvania, Ohio River Valley. This dog was bred in Ohio. And so he's got histoplasmosis.
Wow.
And so he's going to be on 6 months of itraconazole, antifungal. We're going to cure this dog without him ever having to walk into Kansas State. No offense to them. They would have diagnosed it too. But we kept those folks in town. And so, we have the ability. I have friends say, I have this, my dog has like a little fatty lump. Is that something you do? I'm like, I fixed both broken legs on a day before on the same dog. Yes, well, come on, give me some credit here, But yes, and so we do, gotta ask. We do a lot of things, even at this Holdrege location.
Wow. What do you think are the main differences between, you said you did, some veterinary work in like Denver. What are the differences that you see between like small town vet work and the city?
First one is, again, that you're meeting the same people every day. A lot of my vet school classmates, they love the big city because not that veterinarians can be anti-people.
Sure.
And there's a question in your vet entrance interview. And the first thing, my advice to pre-vet kids would be, you like working with people. But I like working with people, of course. We got 70 employees total between these places. You're going to be working with these pets don't come in on their own. And guess what? That person is your lawyer or your doctor or your dentist or your grocer, or their kid works for you, or whatever it may be. And they're somewhere in the community. And it's just, that's what community is about. And that's why I like even the smaller town, because there's even more there's no 6 degrees of separation here. It's 1 or 2. And I love that because, one, I think that you develop these relationships, and then word of mouth is your best advertisement. Yeah, we have a sign out there, but it's this person walking out and being like, well, this guy cares a lot. And then, oh, my dog has this on Facebook, like everybody, what is this in his stool? And it's like this picture of, you got to click the button to actually see it, and it's like, hey, Dr. Beebout, he's great for me, or Dr. Drain was fantastic for me. She really wants to dig to the bottom of this. You should go give him a chance, and see him. And it's just, again, and we love community engagement, and it's just, that's what we're about. And so nothing against the big city. You still develop rapport with those clients. You still, they want to come back to you as well, but you're not going to necessarily run into them at the grocery store. And I like that. A lot of my vet school classmates are like, I put my head down in the grocery store and I don't want to run into anybody. And it's like, I can't wait to have a 30-minute conversation in the milk aisle.
Yeah. And it'll happen in Holdrege for
absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. And that's great.
Is there anything that stood out to you that you didn't expect since you've moved into Holdrege? Is there anything about Holdrege that's kind of stood out to you at all?
So we did the Winterfest. And really, I've been to Holdrege, I think maybe twice to play the golf course in my life before I started coming to look through the place. And I had this expectation of this small community and again, bigger than Ainsworth, but still just that tight knit. And then I'm driving, so I take lunch and I go driving around a YMCA, 3 schools, Lost Way. You got all these, you just have, it is an amazing little place. And again, it's an offshoot from Kearney, and there is a ton of things to do here. Went to the chamber banquet and just hearing about this arts district and all these things. My mom, a lot of people know Roz. She was at Phelps Hospital, or the clinic anyway, on the administration side. And so she knows a ton of people here and had great things to say. And so it just mostly just reiterated the fact that like this is kind of what we expected, and this is exactly what we came here for. So
that's amazing.
It's been great. It really has.
What'd you think of the banquet? Would you have a good time?
Super. And again, we go to the Kearney one every year, and so it's smaller scale, but a Mentalist was such a great. It's amazing. And I Oz Perlman is one that I have his book, and I've seen a few of his. He does it for the NFL guys.
Oh, sure.
And so I was like, if he's anywhere near, and he was amazing.
It's probably been daily. We've had people stop into the chamber and go, I think I figured it out.
I've been thinking about it the whole time, not figured it out, not going to figure it out. It's pretty insane.
Are there any, you talk about the future, and I know this will probably change as you guys grow, but are there any services that you have planned out, maybe you guys might be bringing in the future, or something you'd like to see in the future?
Sure. So, one of the things, even as simple as something like laser therapy. So we had 2 lasers in Kearney, and we brought one down here. And laser is a non-invasive way for a million different things. Wounds, chronic wounds, so like lick granulomas that dogs been looking at, you can actually sometimes cure those. Post-surgery can speed healing time. Ears, thickened ears, and so say a dog's already an old Labrador, he's got swimmer's ear, he's also got arthritis, he's on an anti-inflammatory like an NSAID, so non-steroidal, so a carprovin or ibuprofen for dogs. Well, he can't go on a steroid to decrease that inflammation in that ear. Well, I can laser that, and there's just so many uses for that, and that's just one example of a very non-invasive, neat little tool that we use every single day in Kearney that we've never had here. And then also we have a lot of Holdrege clients that I've done ACLs on. Well, if they need follow-up laser, they can come to Holdrege and save that 50 miles, obviously, round trip. And beyond that, I do a lot of orthopedics. And I have an orthopedic suite in Kearney. We do most orthopedics there. I'm not saying that there's some other minor orthopedics that I could definitely do here. Obviously, I would be the person doing that. Although we have some veterinarians that want to learn, and so they could in the future. But they have a lot of services here already. But we are always looking to expand. And even, for instance, I'll give you another example, something called Stelfonta, which is a little vial of it's actually an extract from an orchid from the Australian rainforest.
Wow.
And it is the medicinal way to treat mast cell tumors. And my analogy to mast cell tumors is like melanoma.
Oh, sure.
It's cutaneous or subcutaneous, and it's nasty. And it likes to be on the distal extremities. And so when you're a surgeon, you need 2 centimeters, an inch about, margins to get that. Well, you can't get that on the tip of the toe. And so you're losing the leg. Or the digit or worse. And again, and it has little fingers to it. And so Stelfonta, you can do an intralesional injection, and it will make you like, it's crazy because it just eats everything in sight, causes this great 40 days you're healed.
Wow.
And you keep the leg. This dog named Thunder, he was a rescue dog, so he was with the rescue, and he came in, he's 2, and he had this little dot, and I was like, we should poke it. It's probably a histiocytoma, which sounds like a scary word, but it's something that regresses on its own. Mm-hmm. And I look at it, I'm like, whoa, there are a lot of granules, looks very mast cell, like we send it out, mast cell tumor, 2-year-old. Jeez. He's at the rescue, like, are they going to pull the trigger on this? And props to them, they're like, we're going to do it. And I'm like, well, we're not taking his leg, and I'm telling you, we had just gotten this drug in, mm-hmm. and no offense to any veterinarian, because it would have been the right thing to do, and if we didn't have it, see ya. We go in, we do this, we cure him, he gets adopted, he's a dock diving dog. Oh, 4-legged dock diving dog. And he could have been a 3-legged dog, and he would have never, and like a chocolate lab that's dock diving at 2 years old, just smiling from ear to ear, and it's like, and that's like where it hits you in the feels, and it's like, this is what we're here for. And I remember them calling Kansas State and being like, they have Stelfonta? Yeah. I'm like, whoa, we don't have that yet, and it was just great, and we have a great rep who's the company that makes it, and she's like, you really should do this. I know you're a go-getter, you're competitive, and so have this in your practice, and we've used it a number of times and have kept legs on earth because of that, and so that's a neat story of some of these services where it's just the vial that's in your fridge, and you're going to get faced with those cases, and instead of sending it 5 hours down the road, we're going to do that here.
That's amazing. So, that is incredible. What do you think is something that you would like people who maybe haven't met you yet to know about you and this clinic?
Again, we're going to go to bat for you. We're going to get to know you, and we're going to work hard for your pet to come here and keep coming here. We're going to get down to the bottom of whatever, or we're going to try and keep your dog as healthy as we can for as long as possible. We are informational. We're going to tell you everything that we know. I love explaining. I mean, again, like I said, that medical knowledge, man, I just want to give everybody little pieces of it. Yeah. Sometimes I use simpler terms and stuff, like when my mechanic talks to me, I'm like, what? And so I gotta make sure it's legible for them. But I want you in the know of what's going on with the care. I love to explain. I get on the phone for too long. They're knocking on the door at me, like, okay, your next one's here. But I want people to know, like, hey, and I think that shows that we do care. Mm-hmm. I didn't spend $400,000 in vet school to go in here and go through the motions and here's your vaccine and go on with your day. And even though your teeth need done, but that's extra work.
Right.
That's what we're here for. I got to pay off those loans. And by advocating for the health of that pet, everything just falls into place. It just snowballs. And so it's really simple. It really is. It's come to work. You advocate just like you were taught. Recommend the best. Worst thing they can do is say no. And we'll meet in the middle, and maybe there's financial things. Well, we work with you. We've got a lot of different options for things like that. That's great. But I think if you come in here and meet us, everybody on staff, not just the Beebouts, and Dr. Warning, we hit a home run with that hire. Dr. Drain, who's already here, again, home run. Mm-hmm. You're going to find out that, like, these people actually care for me and my pet. And that's what we want to get across, obviously. And again, just going to work, I think you're going to see that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh. My favorite way to end this podcast, it's my favorite part of the whole podcast, is I like to ask for one piece of advice. And it can be business advice. Obviously, you're very smart with your business. It can be personal advice. I know you've got a family. It can be parenting advice. Any kind of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with.
Sure. Well, I know this sounds simple, and I saw this on a video, and I'm sure you've seen it maybe, but this guy, and it's kind of a funny, but I think it came from a church video, I want to say, and he wakes up in the morning and he flips on the light and he's like, kids, we have electricity. And he goes to his water and he turns it on. He's like, and I'm like, we wake up in the morning, we've got our health, we got our family, we've got electricity, we've got a roof over our head. Thinks 1 billion people live on less than $1 a day. And so we live in the greatest country in the world. Kiss the ground that we are on every single day, and go be the person that your dog thinks you are.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And I think that's really important to keep that, because we have first world problems. We really do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not guilty of those things. Complaining about that slice out of bounds, it's like, I got a 3-year-old kid that absolutely adores me, and we do puzzles together every night. Like, things could be worse, you know. And so that's my thing, and I preach that to myself every day because I need to learn that. I've come a very, very long way with that, and I tell my family that, and I tell my coworkers that, because veterinary medicine is hard, and I'm sure other industries are hard, and it's easy to get bogged down. It's like, we've got it good. You're gonna have your ups and downs. We've got it good. Appreciate those little things. Come to work every day. Build it. They will come.
That's great. That's great. Well, hey, thank you so much for sitting with me. If you guys want to contact Dr. Brandon or anyone here at Beebout, your Facebook is a good place to contact you as well. But thank you so much for sitting with us this morning.
No problem. Really appreciate it.